Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newby, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity. Mr. Newby, you say the plaintiff was involved with another man at the time she became pregnant. You do not believe you are the father of her child and claim it has nothing to do with your new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner. You also say if the baby is yours, you will fight for custody because you believe the plaintiff is an unfit mother. Now, Ms. Clark, tell me what happened when the defendant left you.
He left me for an older woman, and I feel that she put in his head that it's not his from the beginning because she thought I was messing around with some dude at her party. And
you did come to my house with another guy.
Yeah, I wasn't messing around with him.
You were dry humping on the side of my house.
He was just dancing this or whatever on me.
There was no dancing at that party.
Let's get some order in the court. Now, Ms. Clark, first of all, before there was ever Ms. Faulkner, you and Mr. Newby had a relationship.
Yes.
I need you to take me back to that.
Okay, Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but we were together for 3 months. He was in drug use. And when he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, my dad had hung himself because of drug use. And then 5 years later, my mother had died when I was 18 years old because of cancer. So when he left me when I was 7 months pregnant, I felt abandonment and pain and agony. So
you stuck a needle in your arm.
So when I was 3 months pregnant, I went out and used, and I am ashamed of that because, and then I went to jail, though, for 3 months, and while I was in there, I had time to think that I wanted to be clean for me and my son,
Yes.
So when I got out, when I was 7 months pregnant, I got out. We were gonna be, have a family, so I was excited about that because I felt that my son was gonna have a father and a mother, and instead...
We were not supposed to be, it's all wrong.
All right,
I told her from the beginning when she first went to jail, she would call me, and yeah, I would talk to her because I was thinking that the baby might possibly be mine. I've had my doubts from the very beginning. She's constantly lied. She's cheated on me with her ex, like, what, 3, 4 times?
No, only
Something like
once.
Going to the grocery store.
Okay,
she would go to the store for like,
So, Mr. Newby, she cheated on you with her ex during the time of conception, during that same?
Before, after.
Okay, but, excuse me, Your Honor, if, you had doubts about, being a father or whatever, then why'd you have this picture taken with me with the first ultrasound and being happy about being a father?
Well, yeah, because if it's mine, I would love for it to be mine.
That's you two here with a sonogram picture.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then when I first got the ultrasound, when she was working at McDonald's and he was working at McDonald's, she was putting in his head, oh, prove it to me otherwise, prove it to me otherwise.
I didn't say prove it to me otherwise.
Yes, you did. You were talking to a guy named Jake.
He was showing a picture of the sonogram to everybody at work.
You said
and I said, why are you showing a picture of a baby you don't even know is yours?
Yeah, you said
that wasn't a secret. That wasn't a secret. I said it in front of you, in front of him, and in front of his family.
Right. Ms. Faulkner, I have to ask you, when he was showing the sonogram picture at work, were you in a relationship with him then?
No, I was not.
So why was it your business what he was showing?
Because I was a friend of his.
And you're old enough.
I have always been a friend of his.
She's always been a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, but you're old enough.
My point is, now, I want to hear more about this doubt. Mr. Newby, explain to me the other reasons why you feel like, despite this happy sonogram picture, this child may not be yours.
At first, when I asked about the DNA test, when we first found out she was pregnant, I was like, okay, yeah, I want a DNA test. She was okay with it. And then after the baby's born, I asked for it. She freaks out. She doesn't want to do it all of a sudden.
Is that true, Ms. Clark?
Yes, that is true because I felt my baby was conceived the time that we were together. It wasn't conceived when I was with that other dude because I was only with that dude for a week.
But you do admit to cheating.
Yes.
And can you understand why Mr. Newby may feel, since you admitted to cheating, that there could be a possibility?
I do understand that, and I told him that I understood that.
So why not nip it in the bud with a DNA test?
Because I felt, why?
And then even after, like while she was pregnant, after I had left her, she had sent me a message from her brother's phone and a picture of a baby. I was at work at the time when I got it, and he was talking about he's an uncle now. So I was thinking the baby was born. And then I looked,
I
told everybody at work, I ran home trying to get it right up there.
But
and She was
Wait.
just playing.
You sent him a picture of a fake baby.
Well, it was a picture of the internet. It was on the internet or whatever, and I sent him the picture, but I was just upset
then she
because
questions why he
had left
questions
me.
you.
Okay,
He had left
what
me.
was your intention behind sending the picture of the fake baby? I need to understand that.
To see if he would like show any interest of seeing his son because he wasn't
You
doing
showed
that.
him a picture of a fake baby as if the baby had been born.
Yeah.
Yes.
A newborn baby. I got a picture on my cell phone. While I was at work, I showed my manager and ran home. I don't even think I clocked out or anything.
It was messed up
I
of
just,
me,
you know,
yes. It was messed up of me, and I just wanted to see if he would show interest or whatever, and if, you know, my son was born, if he would show any interest in coming to see him or anything.
Did he show interest in coming to see him?
She wouldn't let me go up to the hospital.
No.
Even when the
because
baby
I
was
told
born,
you,
she wouldn't let me go.
Yeah, because I told
She
you.
wouldn't let me go afterwards because I have a
told you
girlfriend.
Yeah, I told he brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful, okay? And then I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby, but do not have her drop you off or come to the hospital. He said, oh, no, I'm
And
getting
what
a
does
ride
it
from
matter if I
Denver.
drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a
but
ride
that's
to
disrespectful
see his
me.
own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like to be a single mom,
disrespectful
and I
to
would
me,
not
so
be
why
with
would you
Jesse
even
if
do
he
that?
would not take care of his responsibilities.
Okay,
If you
that was
really wanted a
disrespectful.
father,
That
you
was
would let him come and
disrespectful.
see the baby,
That was
regardless
disrespectful.
on who dropped him off.
Okay, but my ex-boyfriend that left me for an older woman, you know, that's old enough to be his mom is disrespectful to me to bring to the hospital.
Don't hate because I look better than you and I'm older than you, okay?
Okay, psych.
You
But
still
anyways,
look like you're pregnant right now, okay?
I don't give
What
a-
happened
I
to it
don't
being
care.
all baby and water weight?
I don't care.
Miss Faulkner, I need to ask you, so let's be honest, did you ruin their relationship? If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Miss Faulkner, I need to ask you, so let's be honest, did you ruin their relationship?
No, I did not. This was way after they were over with.
Was Jesse friends with your son?
Yes, he was.
This is getting interesting. Why is it that you're so certain that Jesse is not Miss Clark's?
I never said I was certain. I said that there was doubt. That's all I said. I was not there when they were together and having all of that. All I said was, if you're going to be there, you want to be sure, especially since he lives in another state, because she likes to dangle the baby over his head. Oh, you can see him when she wants to. He's going to need to know if it's his or not to have viable
Let me
ground to
remind you,
stand
though,
on.
that you told the court that you would never be with a man
That
that
did not take care of his kid.
take care of his kids.
That is right.
So, if Mr. Newby has reason to believe that he could possibly be the father,
He has been there.
why would you have any issue with him being
I
there
don't.
until he
Her son has been at our
finds
house.
out otherwise?
Our house. Her son has been at our house. We have watched her son.
Yeah,
we have
because
babysat for
when
her.
she was gonna find
when
somebody
he was
else.
holding
for
up the sonogram picture, why'd you tell him to take it down?
I didn't tell him to take it down. I said, why are you showing a picture of a baby? You don't even know if it's yours.
See, that's disrespectful.
But
because it's
then,
none of your
wouldn't the
business.
same woman that wouldn't be with a man that didn't take care of his kids, wouldn't that same woman think to themselves, well, he may think this child is his, and it's great that he's proud of it, and if he finds out later
And you know
that
what,
it's
Your
not,
Honor?
let him deal with it.
And he, and
I
she,
mean, this is my mom.
If I can't, you know, she can't be trusted.
That's how I
Yeah.
felt.
Now, Ms. Clark, how have you tried to get him in your child's life?
I would call him and ask him if he can watch him or whatever. If he wants to see him, he said, I can't right now, I'm busy.
That is
I
not true.
want to
And you
take care of the
didn't even-
baby.
you
I
didn't even let
tried
him see
taking
the
care of the
kid
baby.
until
You
after
would not
your
let
man
me.
went
Okay,
to
you only
jail.
bought, how many
Yeah.
diapers have you bought? You only bought 2 packs of diapers. You
And
haven't
when
even bought
we bought stuff
anything,
for the
so-
baby, she refused. She said, because Joanne got it, I
Yep,
don't
she didn't
want it.
want none of it.
Because I bought it. She did not want to receive the gifts. I bought the baby stuff, and she did not
But
want
it's
to
not your
want it.
responsibility. It's his
Our
as a
money is
father.
combined.
Yeah.
It's
It's his
together.
I don't
There's a
care.
real
Our money
relationship.
is
It's not
together.
about the money.
I don't care.
But Mr. Newby, now, it is very convenient that you have Ms. Faulkner to kind of help you in your
Yeah, then you
potential
got fired from your
responsibility.
job, so-
I want to know what you have done individually to help Ms.
Nothing.
Clark take care of the baby. I want to know what you have done individually to help Ms.
Nothing.
Clark take care of the baby.
Nothing.
Have you helped to provide financially?
Yeah, when I could, yes. If she asked, hey, I need diapers, I would get them whenever she needed.
From my vantage point, there shouldn't be a thing that you wouldn't do for this beautiful baby?
There's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't working, so when she would call me an hour before she needed me to watch him, like, you know, hey, my buddy needs me to help pull weeds. I can make some money, you know?
As a father, if he's the father, he should want to take him regardless of anything that he has to do or
And we
anything to
would.
spend time with him.
We even
You know?
wanted, she asked him to watch him last minute. Jesse said, no problem, but we're fixing to go swimming. She got mad and wouldn't let us take the baby because she couldn't go swimming with us.
No,
Yeah,
I
and then
didn't
tried
want
to go
them. I
swimming
didn't
with
want
us.
them taking my son somewhere else where I don't know where
But
they're
if it's
going.
his son, why can't he take him?
Because I don't know where you're taking him, and I'm the
To
mother.
the
so
swimming
anything.
pool.
We live
You
in a
got
small
mad because
town,
you
like,
couldn't
I
hang
mean,
out with us.
Why would I want to hang out with you?
Exactly.
That's what I
Why
wanna know
did you
too.
want to come with
That's what I
us?
wanna know too.
Exactly.
So you were concerned as a mother that your son was going to a pool and he was so small.
Yes.
Now, could you have told them that I just really feel uncomfortable
Yeah, I
about
could've.
swimming?
Yeah, I could have.
I'm,
But
a,
that's
I'm
not-
a mother with children of my own. The
Okay,
last
but
thing
let's
I would
be
ever
honest, Ms.
do is hurt a
Faulkner,
baby.
you're not the mother of her child.
But I would not hurt anyone's
wait
child.
1 minute.
Let me
Wait
let
1
me
minute.
state this.
Wait
I
1
have
minute.
a son that I have
Wait
lost.
1 moment.
I would never do anything
Wait
to hurt
1
another child.
moment. Wait 1 moment. You're not my mother either. So now, let me tell you something. I am a mother of a small child, and I will be very honest. I am married to my husband, and the first time my child got in a pool, I wanted to be there. Now I see mothers in out here in the courtroom nodding their head. You taking my baby to a pool? I don't think it was appropriate for her to want to go, but I would have said to you guys, hey, the swimming thing, he's so little, maybe could we do something else? I just feel uncomfortable. That's it. I believe, am I articulating your position right? Because
Okay, so
I'm
as
not
a
seeing
father,
in
I
this
couldn't take my
situation
son
why she
swimming?
just wants to hang out with you all at the pool. I don't get that.
no.
It is admirable that they want to take your son and include him as a part of the family unit and get him to know Ms. Faulkner's kids. Don't just come snatch him up from the father when
Well,
he's really trying to show interest and
And
take
I
him
have,
somewhere.
And I have let him see him, you know. I took my son over to their house, you know, but I don't want him going nowhere where I don't know about or going swimming without me or anything like that at 3 months old.
This leads me to your claim that if it is determined that you're actually the father of her son, you would like to petition the court for custody
Yeah.
of your child because you
At
believe
least-
she's an
yeah.
unfit mother. Please tell me why you feel this way.
How are you gonna be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' bodies? You know?
Okay, but I
Like
went
that
to jail
baby
and
had to
I'm
go
clean
through that
now,
for no
so-
reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Now, Ms. Clark admitted that that was an absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that. I also heard her say that she has done everything she can to get clean. Now, have you witnessed her improvement?
Well, yeah, it's court mandated. Of course, she don't want to go
doesn't
back to
matter.
jail.
If
Well, let me tell you, I've represented a lot of drug addicts when I was a criminal defense attorney. No court mandate gonna keep you from a drug when you're
Nope,
addicted.
exactly.
You have to
Hey,
make
that's
a
why- that's-
decision as a human being that you are gonna be clean. I'm asking you, have you seen a change in her at all as it relates to the drug use? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Then we have to applaud her for that. We have to.
Well, yeah, I'm glad she's clean. I tried helping her as much as I could.
And then I have to ask you, how are you doing? If you are potentially this child's father, I want to understand where you are in life as well. Are you working?
No. I currently just moved.
And you are looking for work?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Faulkner, are you working?
I'm fixing to start working next week. I just moved to Florida.
Okay, two people that's fixing to start working got a lot of nerve about to snatch a baby from its mother, and neither one of you got a job. You've accused her of being unfit.
Yes. She collects a check, right? Every month. The
That
SSI?
don't mean I'm unfit. What does that mean? That I
You
get,
can't
yeah,
take
I
care of
get checked?
yourself, but
I
don't
do
even
take
get
care of
to
myself.
take care of a baby?
I
That
buy,
goes
I
to your
buy all
aunt.
his formula. I buy everything he needs. I buy him
state
clothes.
buys the formula.
I buy
You're
him
on WIC.
everything. Sorry.
your
she's
eyes-
she's just jealous. Like
In
she
your
can't get over
eyes-
the fact that I'm not with her. And
No, it's not. I care. I
That's
would
the
not.
immaturity
If
of
you
you.
were the last man on earth, I wouldn't want to be with you again. Are you kidding
Okay.
me?
Okay.
You're worthless.
All right.
She tries to break
enough.
the cycle.
Are we ready to hear the results?
Please.
Because
Please.
I believe it's time for us to know. Jerome, do you have the envelope?
I do.
Thank you. As per these results prepared by DNA Diagnostics, in the case of Clark versus Newby, when it comes to 3-month-old baby Richard, Mr. Newby, you are the father. And I see you smiling.
It's not a bad thing.
You're happy.
Yeah. Like, I never tried to deny him. I just wanted some clarity.
You did deny him.
I
so.
will defend him in this. He did not tell this court he denied him. He told this court he had doubt.
Well, to me,
And
you
that's
denied
what this courtroom is about. Better to know the truth so that you can operate under truth than to constantly in your mind have this small amount of doubt circulating, and it may affect the way you treat this child. So now we know.
Your Honor, I have
Exactly.
a question. How are you going to take care of him when you're all the way in Florida?
That's what custody's for.
Okay, but
Right?
you're not taking my
Shared
son away from
custody.
me.
Yeah.
Listen, this is a living, breathing little person. You gotta get it together.
I've tried working
I
with
have
him.
not seen any evidence that you've presented that would indicate that Miss Clark is an unfit mother. But I am a firm believer that fathers have a huge role to play in their child's lives. I want you to continue on your path
I will.
to healing
I will.
and being clean. And you too. Are we clear?
Yes.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you.
Ms. Glover, you're here today with your sons, Donnell and Javon, to prove they did not father the children of the two women standing across from you. Now, Ms. Staton and Ms. Jackson, you both say you're here to demand Ms. Glover's sons step up as fathers to your daughters.
Yes, that's right.
You argue that DNA will prove you right today when the results are revealed. Now, but waiting outside the courtroom is Mr. Brady. He claims he had a one-night stand with one of you, so he could also be the biological father. So, Ms. Glover, we're gonna handle one case at a time. Let's start with Donnell and Ms. Staton. The rest of you may be seated. Ms. Glover, please explain to the court, why do you believe your son Donnell is not the biological father of 10-month-old Ariana?
Because she's a baby. I don't,
A maybe baby.
Yes, Your
What do
Honor.
you mean by that?
because I didn't know nothing about her until she was in the hospital giving birth to the baby. That was my first time meeting her, hearing anything about her. Knew nothing of her. Asked her what was the baby name. She told me it was going to be Ariana Danielle Glover. Where did you come up with that from? If he's not the father, where you get this name from?
So take me back.
My son came into my house and said, I just got a phone call, homegirl is in the hospital. I said, who in the hospital? What they got to do with you?
Not
Oh,
yours.
she's having my baby.
Oh, no, not
Having your
okay.
baby?
Stop 1 second. So you were on your way to the hospital with your son, not knowing what girl you would see.
Didn't know nothing.
Now, Miss Staton, did you ever meet Miss Glover?
Oh, no, I never knew her, but I knew her son for 8 years. So for him, but
You
for
knew my
him
son
not
for 8 years, Your Honor, excuse me. You knew my son for 8 years. If you was really a factor in his life, I would have knew you too for
But
8
if
years.
you knew the factors in your son's life, you should
That's
know
bottom
who's
line
in
to
and
the
out
story.
his life.
We are very close.
But he can father a child with a non-factor.
That's understandable too. But the non-factors get talked about.
My point is that doesn't change the fact that he could be her child's biological father. I want to understand your doubt about why this is
not possible in your mind? It's just because
She
you
looks-
didn't hear about her?
Because I didn't hear about her, and when the baby was born, she looks nothing like him. She has nothing,
Now
nothing
you just
of him.
said you didn't know nothing about him until you got to the hospital, but I told your son when I was pregnant, so that means he had to go and tell you,
He
right?
didn't tell me anything.
So, Ms.
Because he
Staton,
didn't think of you, so he didn't
Miss
tell me
Staton,
nothing.
Oh, your son thinks of me. If your son didn't think of me, why did he lay down with me?
Ms. Staton,
That is you and his problem. I have nothing to do with
Ms.
that. What
Staton,
I'm
let me
saying
ask
is
you
you
a
never was brought
question.
to
Let
the
me
family.
ask you a question.
Never.
You say you've been in a relationship with Mr. Glover for 8 years.
That's right.
And it's been an intimate relationship for that many years?
Yep.
So the question then becomes, why are you so certain he's the father of your child? Is that the only person you were dating and the only person you were involved with sexually?
That's the only person I was involved with during that time that she was conceived. Well,
And so you named her after him because you believe.
yes, he cried about the last name and he wanted her middle name to start with the D. So me and my mom put our brains together and we came up with Danielle. He agreed to it, he liked it. So that's what we stuck to.
So you all came up with the name together. And you're
Basically.
nodding your head, yes, Mr. Glover. So you did name the
Your
baby,
Honor, you know, I ain't gonna lie, I thought she was mine.
but you just never told your mother that you had gotten someone
Because he
pregnant.
knew better not to come tell me something about a maybe baby. He knew better than that. He knew better than that.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Ms.
Yeah,
Glover.
he knew better than that.
You're saying that your son knew all the while that he may or may not be the father.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what makes you so doubtful.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, if he was so doubtful, why did he sign his name on a birth certificate?
Because that's how he was raised to be a man. He was raised to be a
Jerome,
man.
let
A
me
man
see.
is only going to stand his ground and do what he's supposed to do. When you raise them right, that's what he's supposed to be done.
Well,
if he felt that was his baby, he was supposed to stand there
Well,
and sign the birth certificate.
I understand
you don't
all
run.
that.
You jumped in that pot and helped her conceive that baby. You felt you was supposed to sign that birth certificate.
This is your signature, right, Mr. Glover? You did sign the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor, that's my signature. Hold on, let me explain something to you real quick, Your Honor. Now, I knew she was pregnant before she was pregnant. Cause I had that gut feeling. Now, I know I had slept with her, I had that gut feeling. So I went to her, I asked her, I said, yo, you pregnant? She said no. Now, a few months down the line, she finally admitted she was pregnant. It was other dudes. Now,
Wait, so you're telling this court that you had a feeling she was pregnant, asked her,
Yeah.
and she denied it.
yeah.
Then when it came out that she was pregnant, she looked at you and said it was another guy's.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Do you remember this conversation, Ms. Staton?
Now, Judge, as I recall of this conversation, I told him I was pregnant, and then I told somebody else I was pregnant. I only told him I wasn't pregnant by him out of anger.
I wouldn't have never known. I was back into the picture till one day I was at home on a Sunday, get a knock at the door, it's a father. You see what I'm saying? We talk like men. I said what I said to him. I was like, hey, she told me with the other dude, baby. He said, yo, she told me the same thing, but would you willing to take a DNA test? I told him, yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Ms.
So-
Staton, is that true? Did you tell your father that there was
I
another
told my
possibility?
father, and yes, I told my father everything that I did.
So the truth is, you're not positive he's the father of your child.
That's where the baby come in at.
So you're not certain.
I am.
So how are you certain if you openly admit you slept with more than one man, whether it's both in the window of conception?
I only slept with him and only him in November. I haven't touched nobody or seen anybody in the month of November. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was 3 months pregnant, going on 4 months pregnant. So where he and his mom's talking about maybe baby, how about they do the calculation and we all do the math
I can't do the
together?
calculation.
Hold up. Your Honor, let me go back real quick. Let me flip the script back 8 years before this, Your Honor. Does anybody want to go back to the beginning?
This non-factor sure has a lot to do with your life
I'm
for
fin- I'm
8
finna hit you
years.
real quick, though, Your
I
Honor.
think you're not admitting that you were actually in a relationship with this young girl.
Hold on, Ma. Let me hit you real quick, Your Honor. Let me tell you something. Now,
You ain't gotta hit me. You just have to
I understand.
testify.
I got you, baby. Hold on, I got you. Hold on. When I first started with Miss Staton, this is another reason why I doubt that I'm the father.
Okay.
When I first started messing with Miss Staton, I was at a house one day. I get up from my table, I say, hey, I'm finna go to a fast food restaurant real quick, give me something to eat. You wanna go? Her and her cousin. So I'm in a fast food restaurant, I hear the dudes that's making my food talking about the girl they had, you know. So when she come in the door, she walked in and walked right back out. So I already put 2 and 2 together. Hey, they was talking about her.
Oh, you think she was avoiding them? She didn't want.
She was avoiding that I was in there the same time he was in there. So in my mind, I already think, okay, well, if you can do that, what makes you think in November after that search? So they, hold on, may I go to the calendar real quick? Let me show you something real quick.
Oh, I would love to see your evidence. Yes,
Let me
please
show
step
you real
forward.
quick. Hold on, y'all. Let me show you
What do
something
you
real quick.
have here?
Yana, I slept with Miss Staton on the 10th.
Okay.
Now.
Of November.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
She said she conceived on the 30th. Now, I know math. I know she know math. That's 20 days apart. Now, I had the Jimmy on that night, Yana. Now, I want to know how do sperm stay floating around unless I'm a bad man for 20 days?
So your point is you used protection on the 10th.
That's the last time I slept with her.
Now, the
in
next
November.
great question is, how did I get pregnant if you was the only man I slept with, and then I still had to get a menstrual cycle, baby boy?
That's the $1 million question I'm trying to answer.
So, okay, we all want to answer the same question. If you had on protection, how did I get pregnant? God just gave me a baby?
No, you just slide it with somebody else.
Have you taken care of this child?
I've been there since day one.
You have?
Yeah.
You've helped out?
Yep.
All right. How old is she now?
She'll be 10 months.
Have you visited her? Do you
yeah,
go
Yana.
see her?
I mean, because of my work schedule, I'm not there all the time. But I see Ariana. I call her, make sure I talk to her.
Can you testify specifically as to something you've done for this child to help care for her?
One day she called me. She was like, Ariana needed Pampers. I said, okay, cool. I go in the room, tell my cousin, hey, I'm gonna give you some gas money. Run me over here to Walmart. We took it over there, wasn't no problem. I dropped it off, wasn't no issue. My cousin stayed and played with the baby, we played we. That was the end of that.
But on Father's Day, my phone was acting a little crazy. So he told me he called me all day Father's Day. I never got the call, I only got one call and I got text. He asked me where was his child. I did not reply back, and then he sent me another message saying he wanted his daughter for the whole Father's Day, and his family was gonna celebrate Father's Day. So I asked him, okay, what time you want me to bring her? Hours later, he texted me with some crazy stuff.
What is that?
His text message.
Let me see that, Jerome. So, he's supposed to pick her up for Father's Day.
My phone was acting crazy.
And then you get this text?
Hours later, yes, I did.
On Father's Day?
On Father's Day.
So it went from wanting to come get her to, since you don't want to take the DNA test to prove she's mine, I'm going to sign my rights over to y'all, and I don't want no involvement
Hold on.
anymore. I'm done.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, y'all.
Is this from you?
Oh, that's from me, y'all. Hold on.
If you don't stop A-in me,
Excuse me, man. Excuse me. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Let me say this real quick. Now, I planned this with her a week before time. I said, hey, I'm coming to get her at a certain time. I said, because matter of fact, I didn't even know what time my grandma and my mom was taking me and my brother out for dinner anyway. So I text her at 4 o'clock. I said, hey, I'm coming to get Ariana. She had no response. Now, I already been through another doubt on her head that I wasn't Ariana's father, because one day we had the meeting with her father at home about how me and her been acting, how we can't get along for the sake of Ariana. They say, okay, ain't no other dude around your child. But 2 days later, I pop up at the crib to see my daughter. It's another dude sitting on the couch.
No, that is my friend. If I
Hold
have
on.
friends around,
Hold on,
it's
y'all.
okay to bring
Hold
a
on,
friend
y'all.
around, as long as my friend
Hold
is not touching her or doing anything
hold on.
involving with her.
Now, it's so funny and ironic that when I get there, the father comes downstairs, they push me into the living room, like I was gonna start some type of beef with him. But is this the same dude who got on the phone with me and said, hey, I'm Ariana's stepdad, I look after her?
and then
Yes,
that
ma'am.
fueled your doubt of maybe I'm not the only man in her life, or maybe I'm really not the father.
Yes, ma'am. So that text message she's showing y'all, I was out of anger. I know the truth, you know what I'm saying? But I had to prove a point to her that, listen, you keeping her away from me on Father's Day, that
So
was,
when you say you know the truth, what truth do you know?
what I'm saying is that her and the other dude, like they tried to keep us so far apart when I was
Right.
there. I already felt like it was something going on, like somebody in the family was telling the big old lie.
You feel like the whole family was keeping from you the fact that she's been involved with other men,
Yeah.
and they're not telling you the whole story.
Yeah, son ain't right.
Okay, I'm starting to understand where your doubts are coming in. And
I'm not talking about her father. Her father, he could tell me anything and I believe it. Because that's how real he is. But her mother, I won't believe nothing.
So now, Miss Staton, the truth is, your version of the truth is, you had a friend over, and it was not a person you were romantically involved with during the time of conception. And so, in your estimation, that's irrelevant.
It's very irrelevant. Very.
All right. I think I understand where both sides are coming from. So ultimately, I hear you saying you're hoping that she's yours.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, I am.
And you as well, ma'am. You're saying
Your Honor.
yes.
Yes.
What are your hopes, Miss Staton?
I don't have any because I know the truth. They know the truth. He tells me he has no doubt. Fine. He comes and say he got doubt. It's because he has people in his ear that's making him have doubt.
Yana.
So for him telling me one thing and hearing another thing and telling another thing, it's like, where's it going? There's no balance in anything.
Yana,
you telling me one thing, you hear one thing.
Okay.
I never denied Ariana at all. That I'm not going to say I ever did that. Because I told her mother and I told her father, I want to be there for the little girl. So at the end of the day, I don't know what she's talking about.
All right, let's go to the results. I think it's time. Jerome?
If he's not the father, he'll still play a part in her life because he's that attached to her. He's not gonna let her go. If he is or not, he's not gonna let her go.
You're acting cavalier, but I see those tears. You love that little girl.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Glover v. Jackson, Brady, Staton, pertaining to 10-month-old Ariana, Mr. Glover. In the case of Glover v. Jackson, Brady, Staton, pertaining to 10-month-old Ariana, Mr. Glover, you are not her father. I know this was a disappointment. Unfortunately, your instincts were correct. And that day you walked into the house, I think your gut feeling obviously was correct. You okay, Miss Glover?
Yeah.
Miss Staton, do you know who your child's father is?
Yes.
Because you're standing here and you smirking and you waving the
It's
hair.
all good. Nonchalant.
But you can't pretend with me. This is no position for a young woman to be in. All this time, there's somebody else and you know who it is. You let these people fall in love with the baby. You see they love her.
I had no doubt. So this was good that I came up here.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
It was. You had no doubt.
That he was the father, but now I see that he's not the father.